Alright, I have another knife here I want to review for you guys. This is one of my favorites, definitely a classic. This is the Gerber folding Gator, okay, or Gerber Gator. This knife, it comes in a few different flavors, if you will. This one here is a plain edge clip point blade. I've seen this knife in drop point. I believe I've even seen it in a gut hook design. Don't quote me on that. That might be the fixed version, um, but anyway, it comes in a couple different varieties or different styles of the same knife. This one here is actually a little bit older. The newer versions has a different pivot screw. The pivot screw is actually somewhat of a proprietary design, I guess. It's basically, you have a flat screw head, and then you have two little dimples in it. Okay, so you use something like a spanner tool to actually adjust it. This one here is an older one with the Torx head screws. But anyway, the new models that they're making now are pretty much the same as far as overall design on the knife. I mean, it's almost identical. The only thing I can tell they changed was the actual pivot screw they use. But this is definitely a classic knife. A lot of people had this knife. A lot of people still continue to buy this knife. The reason this is so popular is because they're just so available. These knives are relatively affordable. You can find these, on Amazon. I found it for 40 bucks. A lot of Walmarts carry it for a little less than that, about $35, $36. You can buy it through Walmart's, I guess, main distributor through the website. So it's about a $30 to $40 knife. But what makes this so popular, besides the price, is the fact that it's available so many different places. It's hard to get a lot of knives in person in stores. And I get that question a lot. People ask me, hey, ordering online is great and everything, but I don't have a credit card, or I don't like ordering online. What stores can I actually walk into and buy knives? Well, for the most part, outdoor stores. Dick's Sporting Goods, Cabela's. Um, there's tons of them out there. It's only two of them, but there's a lot of different hunting, and outdoor type stores you can walk into, and usually they'll carry knives, but their selection is very limited. And if you're looking for a specific knife, there's a good chance they probably won't have it. I mean, it depends on which knife, of course, but for the most part, they carry knives that appeal to the general public. Okay, when you walk into an outdoor shop or a sports shop, they're not going to have, for the most part, they're not going to have two, $300 knives. Okay, they're not going to have limited edition knives. They're going to have knives that appeal, like I said, to the average person. Okay, they're not trying to sell blades to collectors. They're trying to sell to hunters. Uh, you know, Contractors. Just average working people that are going to use these knives day in and day out. Okay, not necessarily knife collectors. Okay, or knife people, so to speak. um, so again, they have to appeal in price, availability, and a couple other factors. And Gerber meets pretty much all those requirements. A lot of Gerber knives are cheap. They can mass produce them, and they're just available everywhere. A lot of WalMarts carry this exact same knife today. I've been doing it for years. A lot of sports shops, outdoor type places. So again, very popular because of the fact that they're so available. Okay, to the average person. You don't have to order online. And obviously, way before we had the internet, they were still, in many, many stores around the country. So just like the Buck Model 110, extremely popular for that reason. You could pick them up a lot of different places, and they weren't terribly expensive. So anyway, the blade here, Gerber's kind of vague on their blade steel on this one. They basically just say it's a 400 series stainless steel. Okay, it could be anything from 420, or 440, or anything in between. I do find that from personal use, and this is not my first one. This I actually got in a trade recently. Well, not recently. I guess I showed this to you guys about maybe a month ago, maybe even 2 months. And I haven't used it much, but I did get it in trade, and it's not my first one. I've actually owned two of them prior to this one. It's one of those models that I kind of get and I use, and there's other knives I like more, but after I get rid of it, I kind of regret it, and I end up picking another one up. It's just like the Benchmade Model 42 Balisong. I love it, then I need money, I sell it, and then as soon as I do, I regret it. So it's one of those models I just keep getting more and more of over the years. But anyway, this is my most recent model, and I probably won't get rid of this anytime soon because I've kind of fell in love with the old Gerber Gator here. Like I said, it's a large knife. You can see compared to my hand here. I'll give you some measurements real quick. The blade is 3 3/4 inches long. Okay, so just under 4 inches. Overall length here open is 8 3/4 inches long. Okay, so again, it's not a small knife. And closed, it's 5 inches, almost on the button. So it's definitely a large knife. It's also very chunky, very thick. I don't have a measurement here, but I would guesstimate the thickness to be, I don't know, at least a ½ inch. You know, if not a little bit thicker. So it's not a thin knife. It's not super heavy because of the materials it uses. It's 5 ounces. Well, it's not a light knife, but for its size, it's not heavy at all. Reason being is that this has a craton handle, which is molded around a Zytel frame. Okay, the Zytel gives it structure, gives it the durability and the strength, but the craton gives it that nice cushiony, rubbery feeling. And you can see it flexes a little bit. If I were to pinch the handle together, I don't know if you can see this, but if you look at the gap right there, if I pinch this, you can see it flexing. So it is kind of rubbery. It feels really good in the hand. It's not going to slip. It's very, very grippy. There is texturing on it. Texturing is not really aggressive or anything, but it's the fact that they do use the craton rubbery type material. So that does give you very good grip, even when your hands are wet. It's not going to fall out of your hands. Ergonomics are great for my hand. One problem that happens when you have these companies that put deep choils in here and very specific, grooves on the knives, is that for some people it's going to feel great. In my hand, it feels really good. And if you have a smaller hand than me, it would still feel really good because your pointer finger would go into this finger choil, and then obviously your other 3 fingers would just fall a little bit shorter than mine do. However, if you have hands bigger than me, that's when you start losing the handle a little bit, okay? And that's where, this very butt of the knife, or this peak on the handle, would actually dig into your pinky if you had really large hands. So, when you do something like that, it's kind of an extreme design, you kind of limit the ergonomics. I mean, not too much. I mean, you'd have to have really large hands to be uncomfortable holding this knife. But for the most part, a lot of people would be very happy with the ergos on this. Very comfortable, and I have to say that fat handle like that really fulfills the hand like no other knife. I mean, there's not a whole lot of knives that are this chunky and fat. For the most part, you see a lot of the tactical knives slimming down as much as possible to get thinner and thinner, and that's fine. It's lighter for carry. It's more comfortable in the pocket, but it just doesn't fulfill the hand like this. It's just older knives were just bigger, and they were just meant to be just used hard. So you get a really good grip on that. This is a lockback knife. Locks up very, very tight. You see here, I'm opening it with 2 hands. There's no thumb studs or anything on this, or opening holes. However, if you do put pressure downward against the blade, you can open this one-handed, as if there is a hole there or a thumb stud. It's not that hard to open this one-handed and even close it. Basically, just release the lock back here. Once the blade moves a little bit, you can reposition and then use your thumb to bring that down. So even though it's really meant to be a 2-handed knife, like so, it's not terribly hard to open it and close it one-handed, okay, if you needed to. So anyway, yeah, lockback blade, very strong, no play at all. I mean, for a Gerber knife in general, that's surprising. I mean, people ask me a lot too, why don't you show more Gerber knives? For the most part, I don't like them that much, to be honest. It's nothing really specific. It's just once you have better knives, it's hard to go back to cheap knives. But there's definitely a place for them in the market, and they're definitely great, user knives. Like I said, the steels are usually soft. That's what, for the most part, I don't like them, because of the steels are soft, and because I'm so used to using higher end steels. It's just, like I said, it's hard to go back to something that's softer that you have to constantly kind of resharpen and touch up. And that really is one of the biggest drawbacks to these cheaper knives, is that the steels aren't that great, and you have to constantly just sharpen them up. But it really depends on how much you're using a knife. Some guys might not use their knife in 2 weeks, and then when they use it, they don't use it that much. If that's the case, pretty much any knife's going to be fine for you. You don't have to go crazy with really expensive knives. For the most part, it's just because of the collector in me. I do prefer higher end stuff, but it's not always necessary, to be honest. Like I said, I mean, I don't use knives so much so that I need a really high grade steel. I just prefer it. That's all. So anyway, nice strong tip on this. The clip point blade is, again, another classic style blade. You have a nice belly here for slash cuts, and this is a great utility knife. It could be used for a whole bunch of different things. You do have a cute point because of the clip point style, So if you do need to pierce something, it's not going to be that hard to do. Like I said, this is also available in a drop point style blade if you prefer that kind of blade style. So you have a couple different options there. Um, One of the things that made this kind of more popular these days, I would say, how would I want to word this? I guess what kind of reinvented or rediscovered the Gerber Gator is Bear Grylls. And if you know who Bear Grylls is, or I should say if you don't know who he is, he's the British guy from Man vs. Wild. Okay, obviously a very popular show. I'm not going to comment on the show too much. I do prefer Les Stroud, Survivor Man, for a couple different reasons, but it's not really, I don't have to go into it for this video. But I have to say Bear Grylls is still extremely entertaining to watch. If nothing else, he's extremely entertaining to watch. And of course with the shows like that, that's what kind of sparked the interest generally across the nation on survival type stuff. Now, if you guys have noticed, if you have been on YouTube, 2-3 years ago, you'll probably know that there weren't very many survival type videos. All of a sudden, Man vs. Wild comes out on TV, and Survivor Man, and all these other similar shows, and everyone and their brother has a survival video on YouTube. Fire making and food and all this stuff. I have to say there's probably a really good chance that the interest in survival and outdoor type skills have really exploded because of those shows. But anyway, the reason I'm talking about that is because this Gerber Gator is one of Bear's first knives he ever used. And I'll tell you a couple little references here. I had to look these up because I couldn't remember exactly what episodes and what he used it for and everything. But like I said, this is one of his first knives that he started using in the beginning of his series. Now, he has progressed quite a bit, which I'll tell you about in a minute as far as knives are concerned. But anyway, quick little reference, and I'll show you some pictures here as well. But Season 1, in Episode 4, he was in Hawaii on the Kilauea volcano, and in that episode he used the Gerber Gator quite a bit. Also, Episode 6 in Season 1, he used this in northern Kenya, in Africa. And he also used it in the Iceland episode, which I don't remember what season or anything, but I do remember it from that, and I did find some pictures of that as well. So he used it quite a bit. Over time, he's gone through a couple different knives on the show, but obviously his popularity grew, and so did the demand for the show. He kind of upped his gear. It's kind of funny. If you watch the couple first episodes, like I said, he's sporting a $30-$40 Gerber Gator and, average clothing. And if you watch one of his new seasons, he's wearing, obviously, as time goes on, a lot of these people or companies want to sponsor him and give him stuff. So he's wearing maybe a $200 or $300 outfit, and the knife he's sporting, which I'll show you right now, is it's actually one of his custom design, not his design, but it's a collaboration between him and Rob Bailey of Bailey Knives. And that knife right now, if you want to buy the knife he's using in current episodes, it's going to cost you about 395 GBP, which is British pounds, I believe. And I converted that, and that comes out to about $630 US.
Excuse me, but I do believe that sucked ass.
So, like I said, he started off with a $30 knife, and that was fine. And now, like I said, as popularity grew, he needs a $630 custom uh, to get the exact same jobs done. And then, the knife is actually very nice. It's got this RWL Swedish powdered steel, and comes with a beautiful sheath. It really is a fantastic looking knife, but I wouldn't pay $600 for it. I probably wouldn't pay more than $300. for what you're actually getting. But because it has his name on it and everything, and it's featured on TV, the prices are inflated. But anyway, just wanted to mention that because it does relate to this knife. If you like Bear Grylls, hey, it was good enough for him, right? So why not pick one up? It is a great work knife. Like I said, if you can sharpen your own blades, then it's a fantastic knife. If you have no sharpening skills whatsoever, you're better off just paying a little more money and getting something with a better steel so it'll stay sharper longer before you have to send it to someone to sharpen. But anyway, that is the Gerber Gator. Definitely a classic. Definitely something worth trying at least once in your lifetime. It is a beautiful knife for the price, and very comfortable to use. So that's it. If you're interested in the knife, check your local Walmart. Everyone in the U.S. anyway has a Walmart by them somewhere, and most Walmarts do carry this knife. So if you want to save yourself a trip, quick little tip: call them up first. I've gone to Walmart for certain things, and because other people have said that, yeah, Walmart carries that, and I get there and my specific Walmart doesn't have it. So just a little tip: look it up online, find out the phone number, and call them before you drive down there. But anyway, they should have it. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it, as always, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.